Hey there, friends, and welcome back to another 3-Minute Thoughts. My name is Derek, and in the next 3 minutes, we're going to take a look at Job chapters 35, 36, and 37. I know some of you have asked, when does the book of Job end? Well, you've only got a couple more days left. Hang in there. I know this is a deep book, and he repeats himself often, but there are some deep truths about Jesus that we need to know from this book. All right, chapters 35, 36, and 37. These all deal with that new character on the scene. His name is Elihu. So Elihu is going to challenge Job's beliefs that righteousness or sin has no impact on God. He argues that human actions mostly affect people, not God, who is way above our human limitations and such. So Elihu's going to suggest that Job's complaints actually come from a very narrow perspective of what it means to serve God and to value him. So Elihu reminds Job that God's silence does not mean that God is indifferent, but he explains that people often cry out in suffering, but they fail to acknowledge God's got a greater purpose even in the midst of their suffering. Chapter 36, Elihu then gives a portrayal of God as a just and a wise teacher who's going to use suffering to correct humanity and to bring us back again. Remember, God is desiring that all mankind be saved. Elihu insists that God watches over the righteous, disciplining them and in order to prevent them from further sins. He then contrasts how the outcomes of God's correction with those who reject it and those who humbly fall in line with it. In chapter 37, Elihu then gives this wonderful description of how he marvels at God's amazing and sovereign power that's been displayed throughout our natural world. He's going to really talk about how there's true power in God and it's displayed everywhere in the world. Thinking about things like thunder and lightning, snow and storms, and how each of them are these demonstrations of God's greatness that have been put together almost like an orchestra, how each part has its little part to play. Elihu's going to emphasize that God's works are far beyond human comprehension and that even the most intelligent person cannot grasp God's plans completely. Elihu simply urges Job to consider God's majesty and to trust his justice in preparing the way for God's direct response. All these things are reminders that God is greater than we could ever imagine, and that when we put ourselves in the service of God, we all of a sudden will start to see that God has some pretty amazing plans, and his plans are always for our benefit in his glory. That's it for today. Be well, friends.